one of the things that happened when we were talking about National Teachers Academy was the sense that in the South Loop, the current schools, high schools that existed, many folks were not sending their kids to them. Because the schools were low performing and a lot of narrative around those schools being dangerous. And so I think issues and a lot of, because I went to community hearings, and I think anyone who was around kind of went to a lot of them, and you would hear a lot of rhetoric around danger, around low performance, around there not really being a real choice. One question or one thing that really had to be addressed is how did the schools get that way? They were not always that way. When we think about schools being high performance or not, it's not a fixed thing that is always true of that school. Schools change as communities change, as resources change, and so really coming to really understand that. But there was also this assumption that no one in the South Loop would send their kids sort of south of I think Cermak or whatever the dividing line was, right? Mm-hmm. But when they began talking to each other and they talked about what was available. So the other thing is when you took in the other high schools that existed right around the area, there were probably 5,000 vacant seats, vacant high school seats. So the high schools were deeply underutilized. And so when you began talking to folks, they began to name, like, one, I've never been to that school. I actually don't know. Oh, Dunbar? Yeah, we go to play soccer there. So that's not an unsafe place. We go there all the time. Yeah, it is close to IIT. Maybe that could be a resource for this school. Maybe if we connected a STEM program into the school and, part of the plan of, creating some more seats there is talking about investing in this school and bringing resource to it. It really can be something that works for everyone. And wow, that would actually serve the students that are also at Dunbar right now, right? And so I think once people actually just started talking to each other and started dispelling a lot of myths that were surrounding the schools, that were surrounding neighborhoods, they began to understand and have a much more expansive idea of what was possible. And people could explain their stories, and parents were coming and saying, I was actually a graduate of Dunbar. This was my experience. It was great, but I saw this school began to get under-resourced, and really talking about some of the policies. And so one of the most powerful things that I saw is that when you actually come together as a community and name what your needs are, we need a school that we can, every parent wants to send their kid to a safe school. Every parent wants to send them to a school where they're going to get a quality education. And when they saw that every parent was saying that, and then they began talking about what was possible, what were our resources, what was in front of us, folks were able to come to coalition around ideas that weren't even on the table. The problem was, though, that, and I think this was what was important, is that the district was not helping this process. The district and the policies that were happening at the time and the push was to move this thing fast. Right? It wasn't really paying attention to some of the things that the community was saying or the ideas that were being generated. And so it really said, if you want anything, you get to choose this or nothing at all. And so when you did that sort of bottom of the barrel analysis, I either go with this or not, then people just find the line that they want to be on and they just stick there. And so there were a lot of parents saying, look, I don't like this, but I got a kid going to high school, I want something. If they're telling me this is all I can get, if this is my only shot, then I'm going to take it. They also sort of, you saw many folks from the Chinatown area saying, we've been asking for a school for 50 years. We've been asking for a school that really served our community. We've been a staple of Chicago for this long, and they're saying this is our shot, right, at getting a school that does that and what that does to divide people. So I think it's really important to really name some of that, but it was impressive to see what was possible. It was sad to see a system of policies that didn't allow that to flourish.